Hey guys, Atomic Phil here, and today I'll be doing a deep dive into the connection between Hisui and Paldea. So let's get into it. I lightly covered some of this information in my previous video, but I will emphasize again how important these facts are and why they point towards time travel and Hisui. As we all know, Scarlet and Violet has changed the way we see Pokemon games forever. In this new generation game, they have introduced a time machine into the main storyline, and even go as far as having Paradox Pokemon appear from the distant past and future, insinuating the time machine is actually working. But why would they go so far to add something so ridiculous to the game's main story when they have a Pokemon God as well as other legendary Pokemon who are able to affect time? It honestly sounds like a cheap gimmick, but it opens up the game to a world of new possibilities, and even the ability to expand the story into different games or regions. As stated in my previous video, with the 7-star Typhlosion raid, all the Hisuian Pokemon besides the legends are in Scarlet and Violet. What I mean by that is every Pokemon in the Hisui Dex has a non-Hisuian counterpart in the Paldean Pokedex, with the starters added to the game recently by raid events. This is surely not a coincidence, as they had hundreds of Pokemon to choose from, but they decided to add the full Hisui Dex to the Paldean Pokedex in the game. You can also find a Hisuian Pokeball displayed on the board in classrooms, which support that Hisui has influence to modern day Paldea. Why is this important? Well, this little fact helps us identify that Hisui and Paldea are on the same timeline. So let's dive deeper into that. So, starting off, to truly understand the ties of Paldea, we have to go back to Legends Arceus and what timeline they are in. Legends Arceus happens a few hundred years ago before present day, approximately 300. Assuming it's on the same timeline and not its own universe, it takes place on the Mega Timeline, which we can include Galar and Paldea in. We can come to this conclusion based off the fact that 3,000 years ago in Kalos, the ultimate weapon was fired and split the universe, creating Mega Evolution with infinity energy. In Paldea, we see there is a visual representation of an old Pokeball used in Legends Arceus, depicting it's a part of known history, and the Pokedex entry for Roaring Moon states it has some connection to a phenomena that occurs in a certain region, Kalos, thus tying all three regions together. As an important side note, there could be a non-Mega Hisui timeline that's associated with different games on the non-Mega timeline, and going forward we can also assume that only Fairy-type Pokemon exist on the Mega timeline. Some facts to back that up is that Fairies were introduced in Gen 6 with Megas. The games that have Fairy-type Pokemon have a connection to the Mega timeline, like Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, Legends, Sword and Shield, Sun and Moon, and BDSP. We have not seen a main timeline game with Fairy type so far. Given that Sinnoh and Johto are occurring at the same time, that means Gold, Silver, Crystal, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum are all on the non-Mega timeline, thus implying BDSP to also be on the Mega timeline. Pokemon Let's Go also features Mega Evolution, but this is in a completely different and new timeline given the events that happen within the game. Now that we established that this game takes place on the Mega timeline, we can look towards Paldea. A question I found myself asking was, what is Booster Energy, and why is it contained and only able to be used by Paradox Pokemon? Well, seeing this in a different perspective made me think that Booster Energy is actually infinite energy that Seda and Turo were able to extract from the world and contained in a device. This had me thinking that all the research throughout the game could have been powered by Booster Energy. The Terra Orbs, the labs, even the time machine could be siphoning energy from the world to function. This is no guarantee, but the energy source had to come from somewhere, and I do not think it's solely being powered by the third legendary. This theory opens the possibility of activating the time machine again and possibly being sent back to ancient Hisui and even a later time beyond that, and creating new story and gameplay. Paldea is full of rich history and showcases that history throughout the game. Some important times mentioned are 1 million years ago the Great Crater was formed. 2,000 years ago the Paldean Empire ruled. 1,000 years ago the Paldean Empire falls. The Academy was built 805 years ago. 800 years ago Paldea merged with 3 of its neighboring countries, forming the Paldea we know today. 200 years ago Heath explored Area Zero and published the Scarlet and Violet book. 140 years ago, the first Terra Pokemon were discovered in Area Zero. 87 years ago, a research outpost was established in Area Zero, and 10 years ago, Turo and Seda created the Terra Orbs. All of these dates are significant to understand the history of Paldea and what we may be hinted at. A recurring theme throughout the game is also the predominant use and presentation of the number 4 or 4 in general. 4 legendary ruinous Pokemon, 4 players in Union Circles, 4 story paths, multiple Pokemon with 4 variants, and the mysterious pattern in Area 0 with 4 overlapping circles. The circles and the ruinous Pokemon are very intriguing since they both have ties with Paldean Empire, with the 4 Pokemon being gifted and the circles believed to be drawn by ancient Paldeans. This further insinuates that time travel may become a bigger role in the story and DLC moving forward, whether it's traveling back in time to Hisui or back in time to the Paldean Empire. Data mines have also shown there is a supposed script of Heath programmed in the game and we will be able to see him. Fans have theorized that Heath is alive in the present day and is hiding or has lived through the power of the Guardian of Area 0, but I honestly find it more plausible if we were to travel back in time and join him on his exploration set 200 years ago. There are also many mysteries and cliffhangers left unanswered within the game, which I feel time travel would help answer. For example, Arwen's parents. In the game it says his mom or dad left the professor because of research, but they are both professors assumingly, so why hasn't the other professor been introduced? As well as the AI stated their living counterpart has died. It's kind of dark if you ask me. Arwen has no parents. I feel like time travel could help us save the professor and reunite Arwen with his family. Another mystery that I think many people forgot is after you catch the extra Miraidon or Koraidon, there's a small scene where you hear a loud roar that echoes and your character turns. This seems to be a mysterious Pokemon. I originally thought it could be the 3rd legendary, but it honestly sounded like another Miraidon or Koraidon in my opinion. But these are some mysteries I believe time travel can solve and provide us with much needed answers. I am in hope to see a cross between parallel worlds where Miraidon and Koraidon meet each other in the main story, but I have doubts that this would happen as it may conflict with the aspects of each game. Though it would be nice to see the DLC make each individual game as its own 3rd version where you could have access to obtain all Pokemon without having to trade. However, that's all I have for you guys today. Those were my thoughts and theories on time travel. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.